Friends, this is a clock prophecy update for April 27, 2019. Recent news out of Sri Lanka certainly points to the approach of critical mass on the clock. But in this message, I want to confine my discussion to the fire that partially destroyed Notre Cathedral and how this is a harbinger for the destruction of Rome as described in Revelation 18, verses 1 through 10. This is part one of a two-part update, and the second part will be far more detailed, so today's message is just a warm-up. A set of remarkable discoveries about Notre Dame Cathedral, both in terms of its history and its physical structure, will be revealed in part two. You will find images documenting these discoveries at the website. See the text box beneath the video for more information. What we are about to see is how this fire represents a sign from God that idolatry in the churches, whatever form it may take, will soon come under his rebuke, as foretold by Jesus in Revelation chapter 3 verses 2 and 3 and chapter 2 verses 21 through 23. Before I continue, let me point out that I was raised Protestant and have never been to a Catholic service. However, years ago I was led by God's Spirit to study Catholicism so that I could understand its role in the book of Revelation, how it came to represent apostasy in our modern era, and why idolatry is not confined to the false doctrines of Rome. Most Protestants view Catholicism as a religious cult, and while I agree that many Catholic doctrines are completely unbiblical, we need to distinguish between the secular definition of a cult and the biblical definition of a cult. As believers, we embrace the central teaching of Christianity that Jesus Christ is God in human form. That is the core doctrine of Christian faith, and those who reject it, according to 1 John 4 verse 3, are Antichrist. Anyone who embraces this doctrine is, according to the same passage, of God. Despite its many apostate teachings, the reason that Catholicism is not a religious cult to be compared with Islam, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, and many others is that it embraces the core doctrine that Jesus Christ is God in human form, the revelation that makes salvation possible and separates Christianity from paganism. In this regard, we can see that both Protestantism and Catholicism are without question the two candlesticks of the Christian faith, their flaws and strengths detailed in the first 3 chapters of John's Revelation, with their ultimate purification by trial assured by Jesus in the same book of prophecy. In Revelation chapter 17 verses 3 to 5, the wealth, pageantry, prestige, and colors of the Vatican are unmistakably identified and linked to Mystery Babylon, with the added epithet, whore. Do you recall that the 2 Marys of the 4 Gospels include the mother of Jesus, a virgin who gave birth to the Son of God, and in a separate individual, a prostitute to whom Jesus gave spiritual birth, making her a virgin in God's eyes through grace? Like the 2 candlesticks that stand before Christ in John's vision, each flawed and both waiting for redemption as virgins seeking to enter the marriage through a door that no man can open and no man can shut. Revelation chapter 3 verses 7 and 8. In the Old Testament, we are given an account of the prophet Hosea, who was instructed by God to do something quite remarkable. He was instructed by God to marry a prostitute. In a third biblical account, a woman caught in the act of adultery was brought to Jesus for his pronouncement of guilt and to approve of her stoning. As we all know, Jesus instead rebuked her accusers and offered her grace and restoration. I hope these biblical accounts make clear to us why the beast in Revelation hates the whore that God seeks to redeem. See Revelation 17 verse 16. Just as adulterous Israel ultimately returns to her husband, to whom she was unfaithful for so long. See Romans chapter 11, verse 26. Likewise, many in today's apostate churches, both Protestant and Catholic, will find redemption after they turn from their idols and enter into true union with Christ before the 7 trumpets of God's judgment are fulfilled. In Part 2, we will look at the prophetic meaning of Notre Dame's 2 towers and how their physical dimensions represent the 2 candlesticks that stand before the God of the earth, as stated in Revelation chapter 11, verse 4. These are exciting times, and time is running out. God bless as you continue to hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Behold, I come quickly. This is Peter John Brandel.